Hello and welcome to the Dr. Grant Show. My name is Dr. Kirsten Grant, and I am excited to have a guest with you today that is absolutely phenomenal. She has written several books. She is a best-selling author. She has life experiences that are absolutely mind-blowing. And the reason why I've brought her on this show is because she has certain areas of expertise that can help transform your mindset and help the best part of you emerge from the inside out. So this is the reason why I have her on the show. If you are a woman that is struggling with food addiction and food addiction symptoms such as overeating, binge eating, emotional eating, stress eating, it's not about the food. You don't have a problem with food. What you have is a need to have the correct tools and the mindset to help you travel through situations and let those situations bounce off of you like a nonstick coating. And this is why I have Dr. Williams with you today to help you on that journey. Dr. Williams, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Grant, for having me. I am so honored and so excited to be here with you and with all the ladies that are also watching as well.
Thank you. Thank you. So, as you know, our show is definitely intense in terms of making sure that we give everyone the very best mindset advice possible, because everyone experiences certain chapters in their lives, but one thing remains consistent. It's the mindset. So I know everyone's tight on time, so this is going to be a brief episode, as all my episodes usually are. Unless it's cooking, I burn something, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, okay?
Sure.
To share with our viewers.
Sure. I'm Dr. Nicolya. I'm so excited to be here. I am a best-selling author. I currently have 10 different books, and they're focused on personal development, mindset, goal setting, all the fun things. Love. I'm also certified in many different practices, but they all focus or relate to mindset. So neuro-linguistic programming, emotional freedom tapping, hypnotherapy, time techniques, as well as human design. And then I'm also a certified life and success coach. For me, my business was birthed from a passion of wanting to give people tools to get out of their own way, to be able, much like you just said, to be able to heal from the inside out. Because when you shift your mind, you're actually able to shift your life. And so that's what got me started, and that's what keeps me going. I love every part about it, and I'm so excited to be able to answer some questions and dive deep today with you about it.
Thank you for that. So here's a good question for you. All these accomplishments, all these books written. Now, if you could go back in time to your younger self and tell her just two things that could help her, what do you think they would be, and why would you share those things with her?
So if I can be very transparent, I grew up in a very abusive household. My mom was married. She's no longer married to this guy anymore. And he did a lot while he was physically abusive. He was more so verbally abusive. And the verbal abuse is something that really I saw surface as an adult. Like I didn't understand it as a child, but I saw it surface as an adult. And for me, I always felt like I needed to prove myself through things. And so I had a period of time where I struggled with accomplishment addiction, where it was very much, unless I was achieving something, I didn't feel valuable. So if I could go back and shift and make some changes, I would let my younger self know that I'm valuable with or without accomplishments. It took me until probably my mid-20s to be able to say, okay, I'm going to get an accomplishment because this is something I desire, because it's something I want to dig deep with. For example, some of the certifications I shared, I did that because I desired to help other people that had those mindset blocks, those limiting beliefs, and were standing in their own way. But when I think of some of my younger years, a lot of the accomplishments I got because I felt like that's what somebody else needed me to do to prove my worth. And so I would tell myself that I was worthy with or without the accomplishments. The second thing I would tell myself, you guys can probably hear it now, this is my excitable tone, but I tell myself to slow down. I'm a fast moving person because I see so much, I get so excited, but a lot of times it can be difficult to like slow down and stop and smell the roses. Recently I was on a walk with my daughter and she's like, look at this beautiful tree. And she points out this lovely tree that's been in our neighborhood forever that I've never noticed, because for me, I'm so fast moving. I'm so like quick pace. So that would be the second thing that I would tell my younger self. Stop and smell the roses. Like life is really valuable and there's a lot to see around you if you're just willing to be still.
Mm. I'm glad you mentioned about the tree. My children often focus my attention to things that in my neighborhood I just haven't paid attention to, things that are simple like the moss on the side of the tree, and just really stopping and appreciating the beauty of that. And of course, because my children are younger, they want to know, well, why is that moss there? And so it becomes almost exploration in science. And you begin to really appreciate the beauty of the universe and the creator and even how these things come into being. And if you delve a little bit deeper, you begin to reflect even on yourself. I don't know if this has occurred to you and happened to you sometimes, where you're looking at something that seems really simple on the outside, and then all of a sudden, it could be a TV show, it could be nature, and all of a sudden you just get this download and this flash of how it's similar to your situation or something that you're thinking about exploring in your own life.
Every time. I just learned about, we all know the story of a butterfly, how the butterfly goes into the caterpillar goes in the cocoon, comes out a butterfly. But what I learned recently is we don't know what happens inside the cocoon, and it totally disintegrates. It like dies to itself to be rebirthed into this beautiful butterfly. And when I was learning this story, I was like, oh my gosh, it was such a mind blower, because I'm like, that's exactly what we have to do to get to that other level, to get to that next level version of who we're called to be. We have to die to the version of ourselves that we're holding so tight to. So I get those insights all the time, like in nature or when I slow down. And that's why I would tell my younger self, give yourself permission to slow down. It's okay. There's a lot of, you can get that intuitive guidance. You can get those next best steps. You can get insights and ideas and inspiration if you give yourself permission to slow down.
I agree. And slowing down right now in a pandemic, some people have slowed down, but other people have sped up. And I'll admit, I'm real guilty of that. The slowing down wasn't happening. I actually sped up in the pandemic because I'm a parent. Speaking of that, we're both parents. Parenting through a pandemic, it's all, in my opinion, about your mindset and not surviving, but setting the pace, the strategy, and the tone. What will you say is the best recommendation from your opinion, observation, mindset recommendations for moms and dads too, possibly? Some brave men watch this as well. But what would you say, parenting through a pandemic, what would be your best mindset recommendation?
So wow, that's hard. Like I love mindset. I could give 5 million. So the first and foremost thing that you guys have probably already heard, and it's so important. I cannot say that enough, cannot stress that enough, but really taking care of yourself, because you're expected, as busy moms, we're expected to balance all of these things. We wear all these different hats. We have our attention being pulled in all these different directions. And it's easy to get on that brink of burnout and then find yourself on the other side and actually in that burnout. So taking care of yourself. And the number one tool that I have used in this season to keep me balanced, instead of like buying into the burnout piece, is tapping. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. And so the energy that you are radiating at is the energy in which you're going to attract things. So for example, if you're at an energy level of being really, really grateful, really high vibe, you're going to attract more things to be really grateful for. If you're at an energetic frequency of like being bitter or being resentful, you're going to attract more things to you to be resentful and bitter for. And so with emotional freedom tapping, it's a really quick tool that you can utilize where you tap through these different meridian points, literally shifting the energy in your body. When I do it with clients, I've had clients start sweating or burp or yawn. And that's a normal reaction because it's your body's way of removing almost that toxic energy. And we talked a little bit about nature and the insight we get from nature. But if you think about it, stale water becomes toxic. Water has to move. Same thing with the energy in our body. If we keep that negative energy locked in our body, it becomes toxic for our mental and our emotional health. It is important that we move it through. And emotional freedom tapping gives you the tools to do that, because you're moving that negative energy out and replacing it with positive suggestions that give you that high vibe feeling, that gets you ready to go. Like I literally can do a tapping session in 10 minutes and be ready to approach the whole day. I feel like superwoman. I'm ready to take on the world. If you're not familiar with tapping, and I'm not sure if you offer tapping, but you can look on my Instagram or my YouTube, and I can share those later links. But I do a lot of tapping sessions, and really why I started doing that was because of the pandemic. So in the moments where I'm like, I need to tap on stress or I need to tap on anxiety, I would just bring people into my energy and let them tap with me, give them the tools, give them the script, give them the direction to be able to do that so that they could also approach their day super high vibe and attract more things at that energetic frequency.
And I couldn't agree with you more about the tapping. I've been in previous episodes of my show, I've given direct lessons on tapping for various things ranging from stress to overwhelm to just feeling not enough. Everything tapping, what I'm enamored of the most with EFT tapping, which we could chat about all day long, but in the interest of time, I won't. But here's what I'm in love with about tapping. Now, people, and what I mean by people is your mainstream scientists are beginning to catch up. And there are now scientific studies that show and demonstrate in as little as 6 sessions how things in my areas, food addiction and health and obesity, but in just as little as 6 sessions of tapping, people have experienced weight loss. They've experienced a reversing depression, anxiety, stress symptoms, even tapping for test prep for people that are in school trying to advance themselves and better themselves through education. They achieve better test scores because they're able to achieve clarity and calmness. So we could talk about tapping all day long. I include it in my own personal life. I tap in the morning, but what I've also found that's really sexy, and it's something that I'll be rolling out in January, is combining yoga with tapping.
Oh my goodness, I love that concept.
Now, when I did that already, you already know through experience and through your clients that tapping already makes people experience such a breakthrough, and they're able to step into a higher version of themselves and have such immense success in leadership, you name it. But what I did just as an experiment, because I'm also finishing up my teacher training in yoga and becoming certified in that. And you combine yoga with it, and it's not just the workout, it is the movement of the stagnant, like you talked about, with stagnant water, and our fluids in our body and our chakras and our energy centers need that movement. So move through all that, get that moving, burst through those energetic blockages, and then finish it off with a tapping session. And it's like the whole world just opened up for me, and my stress level plummeted while parenting through a pandemic with my husband, because at first I was grumpy to say the least, overwhelmed, stressed out. And I'm not saying they completely removed everything, but my instances and frequency and the intensity of those episodes drastically dropped by 80%.
That's awesome. And I'm not surprised, but that is amazing.
And I'm so glad to hear you talk about tapping, because everyone doesn't know about it. As I talk to more people, I'm finding more people that know about it, but it used to be classified as woo-woo. And now we've got some scientific firepower backing us now, showing in peer-reviewed scientific journals that tapping works. So here's the next question for you. What's your best recommendation for women that are struggling with, for example, negative thoughts and limiting beliefs about themselves?
So this is not a process that you can do in of yourself, but it's something that you could work with somebody one-on-one to do, and that's hypnotherapy. The reason being is that we don't recognize this, but I believe 99.9% of our actions come from our subconscious mind, whereas 0.004% come from our conscious mind. And growing up the way we're raised, how we're going through school, how we process things, we're learning how to use our conscious mind, which is great. But if more than 99% of your actions come from your subconscious mind, you'll never make a shift or a lasting shift if you don't learn how to change that. And so the neat thing is the subconscious mind is so powerful because even when you shut your conscious mind off, your subconscious mind is going to task for you. Your subconscious mind is working. So with hypnotherapy, with the right hypnotherapist, you're literally working to reprogram your subconscious mind, which helps to change your life. Now, I know a lot of people are like, hypnotherapy is also kind of woo-woo, or hypnotherapy is like mind control. Hypnotherapy is nothing like that. In fact, hypnotherapy can actually help you to be more of who you are if you're connecting with that right person and they're instilling those positive suggestions. But I love hypnotherapy because all you have to do as a client is relax and receive. You set the intention of what you want and you relax and receive. And having the right hypnotherapist there to walk you through it, to really help you process it, is amazing. I recently did a hypnotherapy session with a client of mine who unfortunately lost her fiance. Suddenly he's in a car accident and he died. And so talk about devastation. I mean, it was absolute devastation. And so she would have been a perfect person, and I'm going to have to share the show with her. But she started to compensate for it by eating these breakfast bars. So as she started eating these like random sugary breakfast bars, and she was eating them multiple times a day, she was struggling with weight gain. And so then she was frustrated and overwhelmed with that. And so we did hypnotherapy for her to be who she wanted to be. Like, who did she really envision herself to be after this grief session, after this grief experience? Obviously, you're allowed to feel all your feels. You're allowed to be emotional. That's normal. It's a part of the process. But we don't want you to wallow in it. We don't want you to stay stuck there. We want you to be able to come out on the other side. And so using hypnotherapy was an amazing tool that we used to really shift her subconscious mind. And then she was able to really start showing up that way. And the cool thing about hypnotherapy is usually the response is pretty quick. 1 to 2 to 3 sessions, you'll start noticing massive differences because we're changing our subconscious mind, which is what we don't really work to do on a regular. We change things on a surface level, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen a diagram of an iceberg. Like the iceberg, you only see the tip of the iceberg. The rest of it's below here. You got to change what's below what you see in order to fix what you do see. So yeah.
Yes, and I agree with you. And that's another thing too. Hypnotherapy used to be perceived as woo-woo. And now I went on a binge of researching scientific journals to make sure that the areas that I was studying as well with the hypnotherapy, the EFT, that we had some scientific backing. I still would have done it even if I didn't find any evidence, because what I found is anything that I'm usually drawn to, I'm usually ahead of the curve, and then science catches up later on, like you and I both. But
Same.
now we've got some scientific backing on hypnotherapy as well. Same thing with overeating, food addiction, weight loss, depression, anxiety, even things as simple as at a company level, those that seek leadership positions, promotions, advancement, executive trainings, hypnotherapy, NLP, EFT, those things now have scientific backing and publications in scientific magazines and journals showing their effectiveness. So I'm loving that you have that experience in hypnotherapy. So I'm not going to keep you for too long. Please tell for our viewers that want to learn more about you. And like I've mentioned earlier in this episode, that you have published several books. Where can they find you?
So I make it super easy, but you can find me across the board at Nicolya Williams, Nicolya, Nicolya Williams. That's Instagram, Facebook, all the things. You can also find me on my website, which is NicolyaWilliams.com. So I make it super, super easy, but I would love to connect with you on a deeper level. If you come and follow me, I'd love to connect and get to know more about you. So please, yeah, let's definitely connect. And then I mentioned, I think I mentioned some of the my YouTube is also Nicolya Williams, and my Instagram is Nicolya Williams if you're looking for some of those example EFT sessions as well.
And I think people will really benefit from that once they see it in action. So, all right, Dr. Williams, I thank you so very much for being on the show. I know that you're going to have so many people that are going to really enjoy utilizing some of the knowledge that you share via YouTube, via your website, via books. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Oh, thank you so much. Same for you. And the pleasure was literally all mine.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thank you for visiting the Dr. Grant Show. For more episodes and more helpful information, you can also log on to edibleaddiction.com. Much love to you all. See you soon.